So when I got recruited to play college baseball, my coach said, "Hey, I don't have any scholarship for you. You were 78 to 81. You touched 83, and you got below average command, below average fastball. You've got a amazing curveball. So I've got a spot for you, but I don't have any scholarship money. You're gonna have to get a lot better if you ever want to kind of see the field." And I said, "Okay." And at that moment, I felt this sort of impending doom wash over me. And I knew for a fact at that moment that my career would end in 4 years. And I never had a wake up call like that to that point in my life. I was 18. I loved baseball. I played it like every day in my backyard as a kid. And I thought I was pretty good. But at the same time, at this juncture, I had actually already graduated from high school at this point. It was a couple of days after my graduation. I had never really, I never really had anyone assess me and tell me like where I really fit in the world. I thought I was good, but I just like didn't understand. So, flashback to when I was a kid, my hobby before sports was that I would jump my back fence and I would go down to the woods and I would kind of play in the creek and I would catch salamanders and frogs and crayfish and occasional snake and like whatever. I was real into like reptiles and amphibians. And really the thing that I would do every day is I would wander around the creek and I would flip over rocks. And under certain rocks, ones that were usually submerged in water, I'd find a crayfish or whatever. Ones that were kind of under on some mud or maybe a little water, there'd be a salamander, whatever. And I just liked those little creatures, and I liked catching them and just kind of like being around the outdoors. So no one taught me how to do that or which rocks had which creatures underneath them. I figured out through trial and error because I flipped over a lot of darn rocks, and that was kind of like just what I did every day after school as a kid. And then flash forward to me as a college freshman, with that impending doom, I sort of said, no, like I don't want that. I want to keep playing baseball after college. So what do I need to do? And so then it was kind of that same thing. I was flipping over rocks as an adult, but it was Google, it was articles, it was YouTube, it was being a gym rat and bothering my strength coach every day looking for answers. Say what kind of running workouts can I do on our off day? What kind of sprinting workouts? How do I get faster? How do I throw harder? How do I get bigger and stronger? If I'm working out hard in the gym, what do I eat so that I get the biggest gains for my buck? Like I'm working hard in the gym, I want to make sure I get as much muscle in my body for that workout. Like I don't want to waste anything. Like what do I do? Tell me, tell me, tell me. And back then there were not nearly as many resources as there are now. But even then, like my thing was I was scouring the globe for answers. I was flipping over rocks as an adult because I just didn't, I couldn't go to sleep. I had like this anxiety that like I knew my career would end in 4 years. So with my clock ticking like that, that was just sort of like who I became as a person. It's the reason I do a lot of what I do today. And I see it in all of the highest performers that I work with now, whether they're male, female athletes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter their sport. The kids that aren't necessarily the most talented, but the kids that end up being the best long term, they have that same mentality. And when they seek out advice from me, I'm not the first person that they've asked. When they come and sit down, it's because something's been troubling them for a long time. They have this huge goal, or they have this goal they've had for a while they're not solving, and they come to see me for advice and they say, hey, like I want to hit the ball harder, or I need to take 2/10 off my 60 time, or I need to get to 10 feet on my vertical, whatever it is. And they're asking me to kind of put the bow on their plan rather than like give them the first line of advice. They're not asking for, what do I do to throw harder? Like, well, you're skinny, put on weight. Oh, I never thought about that. Okay, how do I put on weight? Why don't you know any of the answers to this already? Like, what do you mean, how do you put on weight? Like, you should already have search for this answer. There's a million other people who could have told you this by now. And not that I'm not willing to give you the information, because I am, but the kids that really want to be great at stuff, they've already done this homework. They've already figured this out. They were lying awake at night and saying, I'm not strong enough. How do I get stronger? And they just jump on their phone, they jump on the computer, they Google it, they listen to 5 different nutrition or strength training gurus, and they already have some answers. And by the time they come into my office, they already have a pretty good idea. And I admire that about them, because that's how people get to that's how they reach these lofty goals. They don't accept that they don't know how to do something, and they figure out a way to do it, just like I did when I was a kid. And I wasn't figuring out how to do anything. I just wanted to find like like a cool looking crayfish or a cool looking frog that I could catch, because I just liked frogs. And I was just like, I'm just going to keep flipping over rocks till I find one. And that's what high performers do. They search for answers, they try new things. Obviously they work super hard, but when they have a goal, they have to figure out how I'm at point A and my goal is point B. How do I get there? I don't know. So I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to ask a lot of people, and I'm going to do a lot of research. I'm going to watch a lot of videos. I'm going to read a lot of articles, and I'm going to pick everyone's brain that I can, and I'm going to figure out how to do it. And then I'm going to do it. So, for me as a player, I got better, especially in my last couple years when I had to pull myself up to a higher level of baseball by asking my teammates. I watched them, I observed them, and I changed as a player. My focus, my intensity, all those things changed because I saw other guys who were better than me doing it that way. I didn't have to ask them necessarily, and I did ask for advice, and I did ask why they did things, and why did you throw that pitch in that count? How did you hit that pitch? I asked those questions, but at the same time, I did a lot of careful observation, and I figured it out on my own. I'm like, okay, look at that guy. Look how intense he is on the mound. Look how aggressive he is. I need more of that. I need more of this, or I don't need any more of this, or whatever it is. I figured it out, and it was that same mentality, that same kid flipping over rocks, looking for answers, right? So just ask yourself, am I doing everything I can? Am I over-relying on other people? Am I scouring the globe for answers? And if I'm not, do I really want to be as good as I say that I want to be?